I have no idea. Sandra, what is Sandra?
Give her a call now.
Yeah.
Since I'm about to start.
Hello.
Hey, Minnie. It looks like we're about to start soon, so can you hear me? I was just calling to let you know we're getting ready to start, so I just wanted to give you a call in advance before you put you on speaker and stuff.
All right, please, thank you.
All right.
After we do celebrations, okay?
How you doing, please?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. The Durham Public Schools Board of Education is now convened in its monthly meeting. We wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone who has come to join us this evening for this meeting of the school board, as well as our television viewers, the millions and millions of those who watch it on television around the world. Yeah, that's right. The purpose of this meeting is to inform our parents, staff, and constituents about what we're doing within the school system. The administration will present information, some of which was presented in our monthly work session, to keep you up to date and to ensure that our vision of success for every child is realized. The board invites general public comments at the beginning of the board meeting and comments before each agenda item. Board members will carefully listen and consider the comments from the public, but do not engage in discussion with the speakers. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Is that applause? I think that was applause. Right, okay. Wrong applause track. And so the second item on our agenda is a moment of silence. And we do this to prepare us for the meeting. And so whatever it is that you do in reflection, please join us in the moment of silence as we prepare. Thank you. Celebrations.
Good evening, everyone. We have a few celebrations to enjoy tonight. No big performances like we had last month, but we're very proud to have our folks here. If you'll join me at the red carpet. The celebrations portion of the board meetings give us an opportunity to recognize and thank our outstanding students, staff, and partners, and we'll be hearing from all three tonight. Tonight's first celebration is the Durham Public Schools Student of the Month. The Student of the Month program spotlights students who distinguish themselves with character and integrity, who are active in their schools and community, and who maintain excellent academic standards. And tonight, we'd like to ask Tanya Williams, principal of Riverside High School, to come up and introduce our Student of the Month.
Good evening. Thank you to the school board and Dr. Mubenga for allowing Riverside the opportunity to highlight one of our students. Riverside High School is very honored to present Miosha Wallace as our Student of the Month. We believe Miosha epitomizes resiliency. Miosha grew up with a mother constantly in and out of jail. As a child, she faced fear, daily uncertainty, and not having basic needs met. Somehow, Miosha was able to still go to school, learn, make friends, and develop her positive spirit. She transitioned from being in that toxic home environment to living with her sister, Lauren Mitchell. Lauren is a supportive, caring, loving adult, and for the first time in Miosha's life, she had stability, food, and shelter, and affection. Through hard work, innate academic ability, and a genuine desire for learning, Miosha earned a very impressive weighted GPA of 4.5. And this was achieved despite an interruption to her learning caused by an unexpected move in the middle of high school. Because of this, Miosha completed school year 16-17 in a homeschool environment, depriving her of contact with other academically able students for which she longed, but she persevered. Miosha is an outstanding student, and she set goals for being four-year college eligible and of helping others along the way. Miosha came to Riverside at the start of her senior year, and rather than blend in and stay in the shadows, she embraced our diverse campus and all it offered. She started the Health Sciences Club this year, and she has established herself as an integral part of the yearbook staff. She volunteered last semester in the Media Center and accrued almost 100 hours of service to her peers. She is co-chair of the National Honor Society Tutoring Organization, and she tells anyone willing to listen how important a free education is and how obstacles should become motivation. Her greatest desire is to attend Vanderbilt University, but no matter where she lands, Miosha will leave a lasting impression on the people and the campus. She even says, "I wouldn't change a thing about my life. It made me who I am today." Those are fabulously inspiring words from a young lady with true intellect, grit, determination, and perseverance. Please join me in congratulating Miosha. Miosha's very special, and she just has one thing she would like to say. Or a couple things, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Hi, thank you all for being here, and thank you for this opportunity. I would like to thank my principal, Miss Tanya Williams. Being at so many different schools, I was telling a chair member before, the principal's just kind of been this figure that we never really saw, but we knew was there. And Miss Williams, she's constantly in the hallways, constantly getting to try to know her students, and it just makes the school environment that much better. So thank you, Miss Williams, for that. Miss Mester, our school librarian, fabulous woman. She has supported me in, during times when I didn't even know I needed that support in school. She's always there to help me with things, whether it be for education or whether it be for personal things. And honestly, I don't even know if I would be where I am right now here accepting this honor if it wasn't for all of the help that she gave me in the Media Center. So thank you, Miss Mester. And then someone who means, she inspires me every day to be great. When she took me in, she dropped out of school and she gave up a very important part of her life. But she's going back, because that's how strong my sister is. Yes, round of applause for that. And she is going to do so many great things. And as much as she's seen me grow up, I cannot wait to see everything that she does with her life. And again, this attests to the fact that your circumstances don't make you who you are. They just make you better. You just have to find motivation in all of the things that go bad in your life, and you'll find that one great person that just makes you better. And I don't know what I would do without you, and I love you so much. And okay, I think I've talked enough. But thank you, Ms. Williams, again for all those wonderful things you said about me. All true, all true. So thank you. Yeah. Oh my God.
You see why she's the student of the month.
So, wow, and how do we top this? We'll give it a try, though, with this time the Board of Education will recognize the parents that attended the Be Our Guest dinner this evening.
It is a tough act to follow. Wow. You can see why we love public education. You can see how public education changes lives. And we love this time every month to invite parents and family members from our schools to come meet with us. We have dinner. It is the best dinner we eat all month, prepared by the Northern High School culinary students who are masterful chefs. And we are so proud to welcome families tonight. If you don't mind coming up here and letting us shake your hand, it would be our honor. Parents and family members from Lakewood Elementary. Do we have families here from E.K. Poe Elementary? Yay. And the other Lakewood, Lakewood Montessori Middle. We have folks here tonight, I know. And we love our high schoolers too. They're just bigger and more adorable. Southern School of Energy and Sustainability parents.
We want to express our appreciation to all of our parents who took time out of their busy schedules to come here this evening. We're going to close out celebrations with a couple of very special people who have spent a lot of years and a lot of energy supporting the teachers and students of Durham Public Schools. And I'd like to ask Advanced Academics Director Beth Cross to come forward and introduce them.
Thank you very much. Tonight is my honor to recognize partners. In education, we know that it takes partnerships because we work tirelessly to make sure that students have experiences that they're going to remember forever. And our partners that we're going to recognize tonight have been our partners for 9 years. About 10 years ago, we were looking for a sponsor for the spelling bee, just to add it to our repertoire of academic competitions. And Dr. Fail Wynn Jr. and Lou Rollins from the Office of Durham and Regional Affairs at Duke University answered that call. So if you'll please come forward, we'd like to recognize you for your partnership, your support. No matter what kind of question we had, they're there to support us. They also host a regional spelling bee for Orange County charter schools, private schools, home schools, as well as Durham Public Schools. We're lucky in Durham Public Schools, we just outnumber everyone else. And they support the winner of the regional bee. They host the bee, and then they support the winner of the regional bee at the Scripps National Competition in Washington, D.C. So thank you so much for that. Give them a hand. I'd also like to say, just a little plug for Durham Public Schools, we have had 6 of those 9 winners. Oh, so if you will move forward, Dr. Mabenga has a certificate of appreciation for your partnership. is our 2018 Regional Spelling Bee winner, Hannah Kloss. Hannah is an 8th grader at Lucas Middle School, and she is supported by her parents, Willie and Amez Kloss, and coaches, and her big sister, Betty Kloss, who was the regional winner in 2014, 15, and 16. So I don't know. Is spelling nature or nurture? Well, let's find out. Your word is ornithofauna.
Have a definition?
Yes. Yes, you may. It is the birds of a region or habitat.
Have the part of speech?
Yes, you may. It's a noun.
Can I have the origin?
No. I think it's Greek. It might be New Latin. Okay, something like that.
Okay. Ornithofauna. Ornithofauna. Ornithofauna.
That is correct.
And that was her championship word. She's going to win in Washington, don't you think? All right. Wonderful. Oh, so before I forget.
Go ahead.
So, the bird on top, you always remember that word. You probably usually remember the word we miss, but if you never miss, what are you going to remember? Your year, 2018, Hannah. Congratulations.
Right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, dear. That's great.
Well, this is the first school board meeting I've ever attended that had a spelling bee instant replay. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our celebrations for the evening. Thank you.
And before we continue on, I just wanted to point out we are down a couple of board members, as you can tell. Mr. Xavier Cason, he had a previous commitment that he notified us well in advance about, and we're aware of that. Also, Bettina Umstead is not here due to a family emergency. She was with family right now, and so we wish her well, safe travels, and I told her we will hold it down for her. And of course, Minnie is with us via phone. I think she's in Atlanta.
Hi, everyone.
Right. And so she's here with us, and I just wanted to note that, okay? All right, and so the next item on our agenda is the superintendent's update. Dr. Mabenga.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, and good evening, board members. This is our first meeting since I completed my 90-day entry plan. I came in with 5 tasks to help me understand our students and our school's unique needs, and I would like to give you an update on those activities. My first 90 days, we gathered and analyzed quantitative and qualitative data. For qualitative data, I attended several meetings with community groups, families, and educators. We held 5 town hall meetings and participated in joint community conversation forums with the city and county. But I also look at the numbers. I reviewed school achievement data for the last 4 years with school leaders. We have had tough conversation about what it will take to move our students to the next level. And we are bringing the data to our strategic planning committee. Another priority was to fill cabinet and school administrators' vacancies. At a recent board meeting, we recognized our interim leaders. I'm grateful to them for keeping DPS moving forward while giving me the time to assemble a team that will help us transform our schools. I will shortly be bringing you staffing recommendations to complete my cabinet, and I'm excited about the new principal appointment we have made. And I've taken the time to learn the organization, the people, the history, the uniquely Durham aspect of Durham Public Schools. I've had one-on-one meetings with each principal and visited every school. I've spent time with every board member, and I've learned from district administration veterans. This conversation with DAE, our custodians, and other employee groups. Although the listening and learning tools is over, I will never stop listening and learning. We're now moving into the second phase, the development of a strategic plan. Our planning committee's second meeting will be next week. We have had discussions over our core belief as a district, and we are about to continue into a conversation about our mission, vision, and theory of action. I look forward to bringing that to you in June. In the meantime, we are putting into place additional support for our schools because our students cannot wait. I'm excited about the direction which Durham Public Schools is moving. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board members.
All right, thank you, Dr. Mabenga. Okay, the next item is general public comment, but I wanted to take a second just to speak. So being a board member, you have obligations to do with the board. And sometimes it conflicts with, your everyday life. And so I wanted to point out today, everyone knows I have 3 kids, a 10-year-old, Nicholas, and twin 7-year-olds. Today is their birthday. Today is the twins' birthday, and they are at home. So I hate that I'm not there, but they understand that this is my job, and I'm surprising them with putting them on television. That is Peyton on the left and Cameron on the right. And I just wanted to let them know, let's see, that's my camera there. Is that my camera? Right there. I wanted them to know that I wish I was there celebrating with you all. I'm sure Granny and Pawpaw and Mommy are doing a great job. I will see you when I get home. I promise I will rush this along and make sure closed session goes quickly so I can see you before we go to bed. But I love you both. Happy birthday, and I'll see you a little bit later. All right, thank you all. Okay, so I appreciate our television staff and technical staff for doing that for me. It was last minute, so I do appreciate that. Thank you all very much for making that happen. That was very important. All right, general public comment. 15 signed up for our general public comment. Going with the policy of allowing about 30 minutes for our general public comment, I'm going to allow for 2 minutes for each public comment to fill in that space. And the first speaker, I'm going to call up in groups of 5, okay, just so you guys can line up and you can kind of go instead of having to call each one individually. We're going to have Jasmine Bowles, Simone Cadu. Did I say that right? Yeah. All right, great. Amanda Castillo Hernandez, and we have an interpreter for her, Will Lamb. Nick Ratoski, and Layla Rivera. Now, for Amanda, we will allow 4 minutes for the translation, you know, because it usually takes a little longer for the translation. Okay? All right, so we'll have those 5, and then I will go for the next 5 after it.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time to be here with your prior commitments and families. My name is Jasmine, as you shared earlier. I am a mother of 3 daughters in the DPS school system. One of my daughters attends Southwest Elementary, and I want to talk to you really quickly in my 2-minute time frame about community schools and the 5 schools that it's piloting. I'm also coming as a community member that has time and has rearranged my schedule to make sure that before even being aware of community schools, that I am actively in the schools doing what I can to help the achievement gap, the academic gap, anything that's actually needed in the school system. So just quickly, I have been here for about 5 years and have had different struggles. One of my daughters is in the EC Department of North Carolina, and it's been quite a struggle. For us, the reading has been a big struggle, and so at Southwest, we've started a reading program. And so I'm sharing that because it's something that I want to actually be able to do within the community, within several different schools. It's a very small program, but I did, and we have taken the time to in the school with the teachers, staff, and parents to come and bring these books to the kids. And then we do an activity. All the books are children of color. And I'm also actually looking for bilingual books. I wanted to just share that just because it's not about just the one school. It's not even about the pilot program for me. It's about all of the schools in the county. And so hopefully with the community school plan, we can start somewhere. I believe in a strong start somewhere. Finish strong, start strong. And so if we can all touch and agree to be able to, you know, get funding for that or move forward with it, it would actually provide support and empowerment for us to be able to move forward. That's all. Thank you.
Hi. As a social worker, I'm expected to understand the systems surrounding my students, systems theory. At Southwest, there are a lot of patrons within our kids' systems which wrap support around them and their families. We have teachers who stretch themselves to differentiate for every kid, counselors who are enhancing the social-emotional learning, nurses who promote positive health practices, and social workers who empower families to send their kids every day happy and healthy, and wonderful administrators who oversee safety and instruction. A missing piece in our system is someone with the expertise to assess our Southwest neighborhood for strengths and needs, organize key partners, and create programs that build up the whole student, the whole family, and the whole community. Right now, the Southwest family has staff members who take a little bit away from their main goal to fill that gap in our system. A community schools coordinator will allow our teachers to focus on instruction, our counselors to focus on direct social-emotional learning, and administrators to focus on supervision and safety. We hope to roll this model at 5 pilot schools and work through the challenges and then be able to encourage our coworkers at other buildings to implement the same model after they've seen our successes and increase attendance rates. This is similar to the rollout of co-located mental health, which started at elementary schools and then is now a district-wide program that is changing lives. We know that it won't be a cakewalk, but I think all 5 schools are up for the challenge, giving our outstanding staff votes in favor of community schools last week. The board has already pushed forward some awesome innovations that have made huge differences in kids' systems. This is an opportunity for another evidence-based innovation. And I know I can speak for all 5 schools that we are really looking forward to working with you to push forward this project. Thank you.
Buenas noches, miembros del comité escolar. Mi nombre es Amanda Castizo Hernández y soy la madre de una niña en el 3er grado en Club Boulevard y un niño que entra en kindergarten en agosto.
So my name is Will Lamb. I'm actually the 3rd grade teacher of Miss Castizo Hernandez's daughter, and I'm going to translate for her tonight. So good evening, school board members. My name is Amanda Castizo Hernandez, and I'm the mother of a 3rd grade girl at Club Boulevard and a son who will come to club in kindergarten in August.
Estoy aquí para urgirles apoyar a unas posiciones de coordinadores para las escuelas comunitarias. Como una madre latina, una escuela comunitaria me da la oportunidad de participar más en la escuela y ser parte de unas decisiones muy importantes de la escuela.
I'm here to urge you to support community schools coordinator positions. As a Latina mom, being a community school gives me the opportunity to participate more in the school and to be a part of important decisions in the school.
Quiero que más padres en Durham tener la misma oportunidad y las escuelas comunitarias ofrecen esta oportunidad. Gracias por la oportunidad de hablarles hoy.
I would like for other parents in Durham to have the same opportunity, and community schools offers this opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight.
Good evening. My name is Nick Rotowski. I'm the proud principal at Southwest. So board, thank you, and Dr. Mabenga and the leadership team, thank you guys for hearing us tonight. When I think about my role as the principal in a school, one of the roles I take serious is trying to strengthen the community that my constituents serve, that we serve in our district, and that is Southwest. And we've worked really hard at creating a culture and pulling our community together, and we've done a decent job with it, but it's something that is such a large task when you think about 650 families. To me as a principal, I get excited thinking about having somebody in our school possibly to be able to think about this 24/7. Right now we do a nice job with it, with different people taking on these different tasks that Ms. Cadu, our social worker, talked about. But it'd be nice to be able to have that support in the building so that they can think about how do we continue to pull our community together and strengthen our schools. So I just wanted to thank the board, Dr. Mabenga, and the leadership team for considering and thinking about moving Durham Public Schools forward with this community schools model. So thank you for your support.
Good evening. My name is Laila Rivera, and I am the literacy coach at Club Boulevard Elementary. And I just wanted to talk briefly about the great work that is happening at Club as we move forward becoming a community school. I was brought in this year to ensure high quality instruction. I provide in-classroom coaching, curriculum implementation, I support grade levels and school-wide literacy planning. And together we are sharing our knowledge and we're tackling the hard realities of our data, but finding solutions and strategies to grow our students into critical thinkers. This work aligns itself with community school model, especially the pillar of high quality teaching practices. One of our priorities this year has been to implement Teachers College of Columbia Readers and Writers Workshop curriculum. This curriculum provides an opportunity for culturally relevant materials that address their students' need and expand the experiences of our students. This program has our students finding a new love for reading, exposure to wide reading, and pushing their higher order thinking skills. And our students are writing their stories, developing their own thoughts and persuasive skills. It gives our teachers an opportunity to share books that mirror our school population, and we're hoping next year to expand it across the school K through 5. And it never ceases to amaze me the wonderful work that I see happening every day at our school. There's a weekly food pantry, there's counseling service, we have responsive classroom practices, and this supportive environment creates a school where students can be safe, fed, and cared for both mentally and physically. And we are lowering their affective filter, which means that students are able to actually learn no matter what they're going through. And so these efforts are just not sustainable with just the staff that we have, and that's why we have community partnerships. But our jobs are so large, and then having to reach out to the community and sustain this work is really hard. I'm almost done. So having someone who can manage those community partnerships and services will allow us, the staff, to focus on what we need to do, which is create strong, healthy, high-achieving students. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. The next 5 are going to be, I see Amanda Cotizo again. It's a repeat? All right, all right. Okay, so we have Asia Johnson, Arton Ragsdale, Nicholas Grabber Grace, Brian Prophet, and Ingrid Whitaker.
Hi, hello. Good evening. My name is Asia Johnson, and I'm one of the school counselors at Club Boulevard. My part-time co-counselor and I manage and know the name of every one of our 492 students. My work experience includes community mental health, but my experience in a level 3 group home pushed me to become a school counselor. In my short 5 years, I have seen my job as a school counselor change drastically. There is even talk of reducing the number of school counselors in our buildings, and I could not imagine the ratio growing. As a school counselor, I feel myself being stretched thin and unable to meet the needs of all my families and to connect them with the resources they need. Within the last 2 years, our school community, including parents, teachers, staff, and volunteers, started a grassroots effort to pool our resources, including out-of-pocket donations, to ensure our students have their basic needs met, such as clothing, food, housing, transportation, and even helping their older siblings get connected to resources. There are things that our children need that are beyond my capabilities and time constraints as a school counselor. Whirlpool once did a study in California where they gave washer and dryers to 17 schools. They were able to reduce the truancy rate of 93% of those students by 2 weeks. Imagine that. That's amazing, just by being able to wash your clothes at school. As a school counselor, I'm able to help manage some of these things, but it's impossible for me to be in every classroom in every part of the building at all times. And we could imagine what we could do if we had a core use, picked up diapers for our families, assisted families in finding summer and after-school care for their children, and managing our free food giveaway along with our backpack program. Based on my personal experience as a Freedom School servant leader intern and the 8 months that I took custody of my 17-year-old cousin, I have learned that laying the groundwork in a holistic way within an elementary school can save our students and alter their life path. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Arden Ragsdale. I'm the PTA president at Lakewood Elementary School, and as well as a parent of a first grader. Here today to, first of all, thank you all for your support. We experienced a potential forced corporate takeover. The school board came out and they supported us in the efforts to defend ourselves from that. We really appreciate it. But now the time has come that we have to be proactive. We can't just be reactive. And we believe that the community schools system is something that can help us do that. It can help prevent these kinds of threats from affecting schools throughout Durham in the future. So, one way, really good things. We have teachers, everybody, administrators, community members, providing a lot of support for the students. But time is short. People don't have all the extra time to coordinate all those efforts. So we're seeing gaps appear where there's community members and organizations that are interested in helping the school, and they're looking for no one there to really coordinate those efforts. So we're asking for your support to help us find funding for community coordinator to help the community schools methodology. So that's it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Grace, parent at E.K. Poe Elementary, educator at Hillside. I can't say it better than all of the people that have already come up here this evening and talked about how wonderful the community school model is and how excited they are. So I won't try and say that. I just, though, do want to pause and recognize the energy right now in this room and the energy all up and down the hallway, which is full of people. And usually, when it's full of people here, there's a lot of anxiety and worry about a budget, and people are asking you to, protect this and protect that, and we're saying no to this and don't cut that. Right now, people are so enthusiastically of what we can achieve with our educators and parents teaming up with our kids on this model. Just say yes. Thank you.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Brian Prophet. I'm the president of the Durham Association of Educators. And again, like Nicholas said, I'm not going to try to recreate what folks are saying because they're the ones who are on the ground and thinking about taking this initiative up in the schools. But I had a phone conversation with your colleague and former coworker of mine, Xavier Cason, today. And he asked me, he said, Brian, what is it that you think that people are most excited about this? Why is it that educators and staff are taking this up? And I said, man, you know what it's like to be an educator and have all these things forced down on you from the outside. This is about people taking responsibility for the school themselves. This is about people feeling empowered to make a decision and to make decisions about problem solving in their own lives rather than having someone else tell them what to do all the time. And so the example that the story that I want to leave y'all with is that last week when we had these school-based referendums on this, which by the way, the total district-wide was 290 votes in favor of this happening and 11 votes against, right, in 4 schools. And we had 100% turnout in each of those schools. We're planning to go back to them and demand 100% turnout for the school board elections on May 5th. So just to kind of put that in the air as well. But the excitement of people, I was watching and I was watching at 2 schools when they were counting the votes, and like the tally is like 50-1. But we were trying to hit 75%, and there were still 20 or 30 votes in the box. And the anxiety in the room as people were like, each vote, you know, and just, I've been working in schools for 14, 15 years, and I've never seen that level of agency. I've never seen 100% of a staff do anything, right? Much less vote together, much less hustle their whole building. They were calling people who were getting on planes to have them tell them their vote so they could go put it in. Right? So I think there's kind of I want to kind of address just quickly that this isn't about throwing money at a problem. This isn't about like just getting a staff person in a building and then all of a sudden everything changes. This is about us taking responsibility and agency for ourselves. And for me, that's the most exciting part about what you see here tonight and what's happening in these buildings. So thanks.
Good evening, Ingrid Whitaker, Assistant Principal at EK Poe. So your question may be, why community schools? And my question to you is, why not community schools?
Thank you, Ms. Whitaker.
Clearly. But say, you already said yes? Awesome. Well, you heard the question. So community schools will be a way to bring together many partnerships to offer a range of supports and opportunities to children, family, and communities. For example, offering essential health and social support services, engage families and communities, and assets in the lives of their children and youth. We voted as a school last Wednesday, 69-1, in favor of adopting the community school model. I gathered a few reasons from the staff why they are so excited about the community school model, and here are some of the things that they said. It will help families that are traditionally underserved become much more empowered. I want to see all of our communities sharing real power with children that have great futures as real possibilities. It will cultivate a shared vision, mission, district support, increase parent and community involvement, continual support, and working together towards a whole community effort in getting everyone involved and truly listening. So the model aligns so well with our values here at Poe. The process of inclusive leadership will help us get even deeper buy-in and empower our staff, parents, and community to play more leadership roles in each of the 6 pillars. But to do all of this well, we need a full-time community school coordinator who has the support of the National Community Schools Coalition and the district. Thank you.
Thank you. And the final group is going to be Sadie Austin, Blythe Hutchison, Osborne, I'm not sure what the first name is, Osborne, and then John Davis.
Good evening. I'm actually 2 persons in one tonight. Good evening. Please pardon my absence this evening as I'm currently out of town attending a Capturing Kids' Heart workshop. First, I want to thank each of you for boldly dreaming for Durham Public Schools and for coming to our rescue last October during one of the most challenging times our school has endured. There is no doubt in my mind that Lakewood is its community and prime and ready for this initiative. In my 8 months as principal at Lakewood, I have encountered an overwhelming amount of support from our district, community, and the hardest working teacher staff in Durham Public School, my Lakewood team. My conclusions about this program are simple. I do not serve as principal of Lakewood Elementary School, but rather Lakewood's elementary school. This initiative, my staff voted 94% in favor of last week, further builds upon the vision I have for Lakewood and the work our community is committed to. I am fully committed to this program and am willing to help in any way to advocate for further support. Thank you, James Hopkins, Schools educator. Now, good evening. I am Sadie Alston, and I am a veteran teacher at Lakewood Elementary School, wherein I've served for 35 years and have enjoyed every minute and plan to continue. Since my tenure at Lakewood, I've always felt a sense of family, and I can remember the wealth of parents fresh out of college when I went to Lakewood, how consistently the parents in the community were available for our students. And that gave me a dream that, we could have people supporting our schools and we could have, parents and community there to help us. So with this consistent support from our stakeholders, we were able to support all the needs of our students from medical to social. So we currently have programs in place to better help meet the needs of our students, that this great initiative would have even more help in helping us to create more small group instruction, helping us to utilize more trained volunteers from a wealth of community leaders. So my dream is to see, as a school, to the same mountain level of participation, parents, community leaders, our administration, and you, the board members. Becoming a pilot school for the Community Action Initiative will be a great way for us to involve our total school community into helping grow and develop our students as productive citizens in the 21st century. Our goal is to improve student achievement. And when parents and community get together, what a joy it is. Growth is bound to happen. So help us. Be committed. Be committed to help all 5 schools. Help us do what is best for our children as we sit down at the round table and decide what our needs are and how best to meet those needs and providing the resources that we need. We believe that our partnership is the most important part to help develop our community schools, and we thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Blythe Hutchinson. I've been a devoted Lakewood teacher also for the last 8 years, and I'm proud to say I serve with Miss Austin, although I am not Miss Austin as a speaker. I am here tonight to tell you why we need your help to support and become a community school with a coordinator position. As a teacher at Lakewood Elementary, I have done my absolute best to provide the students in my classes with an engaging, challenging curriculum, and at the same time, work to meet their individual needs. My students love coming to school. My students grow. I have worked to reach out to both the English and non-English speaking families and have developed solid relationships with parents through the years. But it is still not enough. Our students struggle. My students struggle. Our families, although supportive of their children, are not fully engaged and do not see Lakewood Elementary as their school. A lack of presence at school activities is noticeable, even after calls, letters, reminders, etc. Aside from a lack of presence at school activities, our students lack fun, engaging after-school club activities and experiences that would help them grow and develop holistically. As a teacher, I cannot make all these things happen. Administrators in our school have their hands full as well. We need a community school coordinator who can bring parents and programs to our school utilizing the community resources. My dream is that Lakewood would become a light for our community, that parents and students would be at our school sometimes earlier than 7:30 and later than 2:15, and that they would be engaged in meaningful experiences that can help to strengthen both our school and community. I'm asking that you work with us to support our community schools program. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Troykia Osborne. I'm currently the positive behavior coach at EK Poe Elementary School. On a daily basis, I teach children emotional regulation techniques, mindfulness, social skills, and other skills that they need to be successful learners. At EKPO, our support team works together to provide positive discipline. Our administrators seek out community resources like Carolina Outreach and Youth Extensions to provide our students with mental health support. But even with all of this, more is needed. These measures are helping, but we need more to address the whole child and the whole family needs. Again, on a daily basis, our children bring with them invisible barriers to learning. They bring things like hunger. They bring things like trauma and mental health needs that make it difficult for them to focus in class. And even though we're already doing the work, again, we can't do it alone. We need those community support partnerships. The community schools model is evidence-based and research-backed. Our school voted 69-1, and we did it because we know more can be done. Please support us in being an advocate for the 5 pilot community schools. Thank you.
Hello, I'm not John Davis. I'm Abby Martin. I'm from Hope Valley Elementary School. I'm an ESL teacher there. As we all know, Hope Valley has a pretty profound achievement gap, and we became a D school this year. The community schools model in Cincinnati shows pretty profound data about how this model can turn around achievement gaps. We are ready to try it. 98% of our staff voted yes. Our principal is ready to take it on. Speaking of Principal Tate, who couldn't be here tonight, she writes, I support community schools model for Hope Valley because of the inclusive school leadership. It's a way to ensure that all stakeholders have a voice in planning and implementation of school initiatives. Secondly, the emphasis on high quality teaching, focusing core instruction to move Hope Valley from low performing and reflects the true strengths of our students and teachers. And lastly, the wraparound supports that would be available to help us meet all the physiological needs so that students can be successful learners. And as an ESL teacher, I just got this peek into what community schools could be for Hope Valley this year. We got a grant from the William T. Grant Foundation to support this kind of model for Arabic-speaking students. So we're doing home visits, we're taking families to the library to get library cards, we're helping them sign up for summer camp. We're doing all of these, and we're doing an after-school program and all of these different services, and it's just a microcosm of what I think community schools could be. And I'm seeing it right now, and it's powerful, and it's making a difference. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And that concludes our public, general public comment. Well, let me just make sure. Yeah. And so there's, we have 3 signed up for a different agenda item, and so we'll do that when we come to it. The next item on our agenda is the agenda review and approval.
Move approval of the agenda.
You didn't want to move it. So, as discussion and a little bit of a change, it's been requested that we move 12A up to after consent, the consent agenda. That's
requested by whom? Is this us? Our request?
No, it's some people who are here who are not sure they can stay late that would like to hear the.
Sure.
The 3, that's the item that we have comment on.
Got it.
And
got it.
that's the only other item that we have comment on. And so we'll just go ahead and get that.
We usually do an oral reading, which excites the crowd.
It does. It does. That's
Right. So we'll do it while people are still here.
that makes sense.
So just after the consent agenda item, so is that okay to do, I guess, 8.1?
Yep. As As 8B.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, but moving item 12A to be item 8B.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the agenda with the adjustment of moving 12A to 8B. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please use the same sign. Passes unanimously. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for February 22nd, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded that we approve the Board of Education meeting minutes for February 22nd, 2018. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, please use the same sign. It passes unanimously. Consent item. This is the next item on our agenda. It's the 2018-2019 calendars for small specialty high schools. We discussed this in the work session. Yeah.
Move
Right.
approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the 2018-2019 calendars for small specialty high schools. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, please use the same sign. And passes unanimously. That takes us to our 8B, which is the resolution by the Durham Public Schools Board of Education regarding gun violence prevention. And on this item, we have 3 speakers. So we'll do 3 minutes. 3 minutes for this.
Okay.
All right, 3 minutes each. And the first one is Lucy Zastrow.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the chance to be heard. I want to tell you that the other 2 speakers who have signed up are going to yield their time to me. So if I might go ahead and take my time, I will be less than 5 minutes.
Okay.
If that is okay. Otherwise, they're going to yield their time to me. Okay, thank you very much. My name is Lucy Zastrow, and I'm a retired veteran from the Durham Sheriff's Office. I did 30 years as a law enforcement officer, and I retired approximately 10 years ago. My father was Colonel Zastrow. He's a retired Marine, was a retired Marine, and was in the school system as a principal of Neal Middle School and Lowe's Grove Middle School when it first opened back in the 1970s. I was also a substitute school teacher at that time. I used to laugh and tell my students that I was going to become a cop because it was safer. It's funny to say that, but the unfortunate reality is actually that's true these days. I am here to talk about the gun resolution, the resolution for gun safety. I want to tell you up front that I am a life member for the NRA. I am also an unaffiliated voter. I do not speak for the Democrats and I do not speak for the Republicans. I do not speak for the NRA. I am speaking for myself. I have been a Durham resident and citizen for 45, 46 years now. I'm concerned about the school system in general because of the poor decision facilitating school violence, the poor decisions that the board is making, which actually is facilitating school violence. And this resolution in particular is an example because the position you are taking is going to promote additional violence of all kinds in the schools. I mentioned I'm an unaffiliated voter because I don't carry a party agenda, but this resolution is clearly carrying a Democratic Party agenda. I don't particularly care for the Democrats or the Republicans, which is why I'm unaffiliated. Limiting my gun rights chips away at constitutional rights. The Second Amendment is a right, it's not a privilege upon which infringement can take place. I use the word infringe because the Second Amendment is the only amendment in the entire Constitution that includes the words, shall not be infringed. You are infringing by this resolution. Additionally, in your resolution, there is information that can be challenged, such as 150,000 children being involved or experiencing a school shooting since 1999. I'm not sure that that's correct, but you need to clarify that. You also say that hundreds of students and school employees have been lost to gun violence. This is not true for in-school shootings, but your resolution doesn't say that. It just talks about them in general. Again, your wording and your numbers need to be clarified. In your resolution, there are millions of children. You say that there are millions of children in the United States living in homes where guns are present. That's true. That's absolutely correct, but you say it in your resolution like it's a bad thing. Guns are actually good things on many different levels. Even the numbers you state in the resolution give proof that the extreme majority of families owning guns are law-abiding citizens in the United States. Many of you probably were brought up with guns in your house, or you may have guns in your house at this time. That doesn't make you a bad person. I grew up with my dad being in the Marine Corps, and I attended the Department of Defense schools as far away as Japan during the Vietnam War. As part of my school agenda, I participated in air raid practice in case we were ever bombed. I never suffered any anxiety, depression, or antisocial behavior because of this. Students who are mentally healthy to begin with won't suffer in any detrimental manner for performing active shooter training unless they're taught to do that by their parents or people in the school. They'll be fine. If you were concerned about the detractors from classroom learning, as you say you are in the resolution, you wouldn't have sanctioned students and staff to walk out on any issue. This, again, is the agenda of the Democratic Party, and I am accusing you of that. You also state that gun violence in schools cannot be relegated to school property alone. So you should take note. All mass shootings have all occurred in gun-free zones. No one is expected to shoot back. Look at the evidence, look at Chicago and other places where they have strict gun regulations. And now you want the U.S. Congress and the General Assembly to further regulate access to firearms. So if you support the Constitution like you say you do in the resolution, do not infringe. If you do not want gun violence in schools, you have to change your approach because what you're doing isn't working. It's not working. Your approach is just exacerbating violence in schools, not necessarily gun violence, but all violence because they'll have access to knives and cars and bombs and other things. Last night, I see Ricky Paget in the audience, and last night I called him on the telephone. I know most of you have at least with me when he was at the sheriff's office. And the reason I called him is because I wanted a couple of pictures, and I knew he had some pictures that I wanted just to hold up to show you. These are guns that are taken off of your students. And they obviously have bandanas with them. You've got gangs in your schools, and I know you know that. But this resolution doesn't say anything about that. It doesn't talk about gangs in your schools and the violence of guns with the gangs. It just talks about guns. If students and staff matter, then don't infringe on the vast majority of law-abiding gun owners like me. If students and staff matter, then allow the lawful carry of weapons on school property according to law and do away with gun-free zones. If students and staff matter, you would support the National Rifle Association and say so in your resolution. The NRA was the organization that brought forward to get the original law passed for background investigations in order to even purchase a gun. The NRA did that. If students and staff matter, you would encourage students to take one of the courses offered to students by the NRA on gun safety, and you would even offer this as after-school curriculum, after-school programs. You might think about including in your resolution to encourage the FBI and other state and local law enforcement agencies to have some kind of check system on whether or not they are actually following their policies, people who might bring violence into the school. We all know that the FBI and local law enforcement has failed in that recently. If students and staff matter, you would push programs to take action by students and staff to actually do something rather than just words, about student-on-student bullying, as well as identification of students who have anxiety, depression, and antisocial behavior, because what you are doing right now is not working. I'd like for this board to look me in the eye and tell me the resolution that you are proposing will actually do something other than just chip away at my Second Amendment rights. And if you can look at me and tell me that this resolution will decrease violence in school, not just gun violence, but violence, then you look at me in the eye and you go ahead and vote for that resolution, because it's not going to do it. I plead with you to please do something productive in our school system other than throw words out that can hurt my rights, my personal rights. If you are brave people, you will support your Constitution, you will support current law, federal, state, and local, do something to stop bullying, address gangs, antisocial behavior. This resolution isn't brave. This resolution is carrying water for the Democratic Party. It's partisan. It promotes more violence in the school system. If you vote for this resolution, I hope that you have my voice, Lucy Zastro, I hope you have my voice in your head saying, I told you so. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the extra time that you gave me. I do.
It was 9 minutes. Since it was 3, we did 9.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to the actual resolution itself. What we generally do is we read the resolution kind of in rounds. Does Minnie have it in front of her? Is she going to participate, or are we just going to do it here?
Manny, you there?
Good. Okay, we'll just do it here, and then we'll have discussion afterwards. Okay. And you want to talk about it real quickly or start it?
I'm here, guys. Wait, Manny. So I did just want to clarify if anyone's concerned about where this resolution came from. You know, there are resolutions from school districts around the community, but it's largely from the National Association, I believe, of School Psychologists, and a lot of language that they've drafted. It is not partisan. So Minnie, are you ready to start this?
Ready to start the discussion about
the reading of the resolution?
I am ready.
Okay.
I am ready. Let me get to the computer.
Well, we'll come back to you. We'll let Matt start us then.
No, I can begin.
Okay,
hold on.
No.
I had it pulled up. I was listening to our speaker about looking in the eye. Okay, I'm ready to begin. Resolution by the Durham Board of Education regarding gun violence prevention. Whereas all students deserve schools and communities that are safe, supportive, and free of bullying, harassment, discrimination, and gun violence. And
whereas no one should send their children to school or into the community fearing they may never come home. And
whereas more than 150,000 American students have experienced a school shooting on campus since the Columbine High School massacre in 1999, and
whereas from Columbine to Virginia Tech to Sandy Hook to Parkland, the lives of hundreds of students and school employees have been lost to the plague of gun violence, and
whereas among high-income nations, 91% of children under 15 years old and 92% of youth between 15 and 24 years old who have been killed by guns lived in the United States. And
whereas although gun violence in schools is extremely rare, the majority of youth homicides are by a firearm. Nearly half of youth suicide deaths involve the use of a gun, and most school-associated homicides involved a firearm. And
whereas nearly 2,000 children are shot every day on average, and more than 22 million children live in homes with a firearm in the United States, and
whereas communities of color are disproportionately impacted by gun violence, and
whereas exposure to gun violence in the community can result in anxiety, depression, antisocial behavior, and a decline in students' capacity to meaningfully engage in academic tasks, and
whereas American school children spend increasingly more time participating in active shooter and lockdown drills, which create significant anxiety among students and teachers and distract from classroom learning. And
whereas the mass murder of students, teachers, and staff at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School was committed using a legally purchased assault rifle, originally engineered for soldiers, and similar weapons were used in mass murders in Newtown, Connecticut, Aurora, Colorado, Orlando, Florida, San Bernardino, California, Sutherland Springs, Texas, Las Vegas, Nevada, and other communities. And
whereas America's students, led by the courageous young people of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida, are now leading the change to prevent further tragedy, and
whereas the responsibility for preventing gun violence in schools cannot be regulated to school districts alone.
therefore, be it resolved, the Durham Board of Education calls upon the United States Congress and the North Carolina General Assembly to prioritize the protection of students and school system employees by passing legislation that more effectively regulates access to firearms in the interest of public safety, funds public health research and firearms-related issues, and advances mental health supports. And
be it further resolved that the Durham Board of Education supports the U.S. Constitution and believes that effective laws and policies can reduce gun violence and fatalities without undermining the Second Amendment. Advocating for effective policies to reduce gun violence is necessary to helping all children thrive at home, in school, and throughout life. And
be it further resolved that the board supports finding methods to combat the stranglehold that gun manufacturers and the gun lobby have on public policy. And
be it further resolved that the board opposes counterproductive and dangerous legislation, regulation, and public policy that promotes arming teachers or permits citizens with open-end or concealed carry permits to bring weapons onto school campuses. And
be it further resolved that the board supports students from Parkland to Durham and everywhere between who demonstrate leadership by calling for congressional and state legislative action on this issue, and that this board will listen to local students and amplify their voices to more effectively fight this scourge. Signed this 22nd day of March 2018. So that is our resolution. Discussion. Did you have discussion on this?
Mike, I'd like to speak to this, please. On March the 23rd, February 23rd, right after our meeting, the North Carolina School Board Association Board of Directors had its meeting. And I was happy to have information regarding our feeling of gun violence, but also we talked about it in our session. We hadn't drafted anything, but as a result of that, the executive committee did a survey, and that information came back. And I sent to Leanne Winter the draft that we had of our resolution. And there were some things that she had some concerns about. But overwhelmingly, the North Carolina School Board's Executive Committee voted to draft a resolution very similar to this one. We are not we're not against the NRA. We're not against people having guns. We are not against gun ownership. We're not against people's concealed and carry. The school system, the North Carolina School Board Association, has no policy on gun ownership, but it does have a policy about bringing guns onto campus. And I think that's where the rub is. I think that's where we need to understand. It's about bringing guns onto campus. Now, whether you own a gun, whether you haven't, whatever you have in your home, however you feel about protecting yourself is fine. Our job is to protect the students who are at school. And we took a position, and that will be something that will probably, every district will do their own local kind of thing. But that is where the North Carolina School Board Association is taking it. And I wanted to say thank you for drafting something that I could give to them to say that Durham Public Schools already has taken the step to do some things. Of course, we know other districts in the state have taken steps that are different from ours. Thank you for the speaker that came to talk to us about her position and the wonderful history of her family being in Durham Public Schools. We thank them for their service. And I just wanted to say thank you to my board for being the thought leaders and looking out for kids in Durham. Appreciate it. I'm ready to vote whenever you are.
Okay. I'm sorry we don't do questions. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I'm strongly in favor of this resolution. I think it's very straightforward and common sense. I don't agree with the notion that this is a partisan issue. I grew up in California. I grew up when Governor Reagan called for gun legislation in the state. I think that it's become a polarized issue, and I regret that. I think that common sense says that we need some kind of balance between the needs of the community and the needs of individuals, and that's true for every right within this great country of ours. I appreciate the speaker coming, and I appreciate her sharing her points. I disagree. And I'm in favor of the resolution.
I'm in favor of the resolution as well, and I do appreciate you coming to speak. That is in Durham. I think that's a tough thing to do, because Durham is a progressive town, and I appreciate that. I do find it very interesting. Of the speaker's concern about infringing on the Second Amendment rights, but she complained about the First Amendment rights of our students walking out and protesting. I don't see this as a partisan issue. I don't see this as a grab for guns. This does not say anything about taking guns away from law-abiding citizens in their homes. It has nothing to do with that. And I recognize that that's a popular talking point in a lot of circles. I recognize that the NRA really would like to have all of our teachers armed. How many teachers do we have in America, right? What profit to their companies that they represent would that mean? I support our students' right to walk out. I support us not punishing them for doing a peaceful walkout. As a father of 3 young children in school, when I signed up to be a parent, I did not realize I'd be worried about if my children are going to come home from school. That was not in the handbook. I wholeheartedly believe that there can be some things done. I think some of the safety measures that we're doing for our school based on the bond will help that. But I fully support this resolution. I fully support our students, and I fully support asking Congress, General Assembly of North Carolina, to look at ways we can improve background checks, raise the age of owning an assault rifle, things of that sort. I fully support that.
So I support the resolution, and I would make a motion that we adopt the resolution as written.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the resolution as written. Any further discussion?
Mike, the only thing that saddens me is that we are at such odds that this would even be perceived, something that came from school psychologists that work with children every day, as being partisan, because it's not. It's not. And that we've lost common ground to talk about things. And I appreciate that it actually, asserts Second Amendment rights within this resolution. And I was so moved, and I know you all were as well, by the powerful voices of our students who organized their own statements about their safety and their way to dream this conversation forward. That last line of this resolution is most compelling to me about standing with our students and amplifying their voice.
All right, any further discussion? All right, it's been, the motion's on the table, it's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, please use the same sign. Resolution passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda, summer program, academic services, summer programming.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Mabenga. Tonight we are sharing with you our 2018 summer learning opportunities for students. The collaborative project team, which is here tonight to address any questions and participate in the discussion, Suzanne Cotterman, Beth Cross, Tim Gibson, Sashi Ryashim, Krista Saunders, Kristen Bell, and project lead, Deshauna Gooch. Our mission for summer programming is to improve outcomes for students and to provide high-quality, low-cost options for our Durham Public Schools families. Programming this summer will focus on early intervention, providing support to students served in our Exceptional Children program, as well as our ESL programs, as well as credit recovery and senior summer school for our high school students. At this time, I would like to introduce Deshauna Gooch, Director of Accelerated Learning and lead for summer programming, to provide additional details regarding each program.
Thank you, Dr. Hardy. Thank you again to my colleagues for being here and all their hard work in the summer. I want to go ahead and start with Mission Possible Operation Literacy. That's a program that ensures reading readiness for our pre-K and K students. Read to Achieve strengthens K-3 literacy skills. Extended School Year works with students with IEPs to make sure that they're making progress. Newcomer Academy accelerates instruction in English and math. Senior Summer School Back on Track, of course, is our opportunity for seniors to earn or recover credits in order to graduate in the summer. Credit Recovery Camp allows our high school students to recover credit for a previously failed course. Take Two is our intervention and re-administration of our EOGs and EOCs. Spark is an AIG student enrichment camp. And lastly, we have Summer Scholars, our AP camp, which exposes high school students to AP courses. Our next slide, last year we were asked to set some baseline goals for each of the programs, and we've done that. When you're setting a SMART goal, of course, you want to try to be realistic, so we have met all of the goals that are quantitative and the others are qualitative.
This time will be open to discussion and questions. We do need one action item for the board is to allow us to have the re-administration during our Take Two summer program. That will give us permission to re-administer end of grade and end of course assessments to those students who participate in that program and opportunity.
Read to Achieve, I believe last year you were able, have to go to Read to Achieve, could go, but they had to pay. I think that was the case. Is that going to be the same again this year?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
I have a few questions. I'm glad to see goals. That's great. So the Operation Literacy, how many students did we serve? Do you know? Just ballpark.
They served a little under 150 students last year.
Okay, and so of that 150, we say 60% demonstrated baseline knowledge. Do we have any idea how many demonstrated it before coming in, or is that a criteria that they don't meet it before they come in?
Sue or Karen? You can come up.
Good evening. I'm Karen Thompson, one of the program managers for the camp last year as well as this year. The goal for us was to have 60% of the students achieve growth within the camp, and we actually met, and we ended up having 86% of the students improve from the baseline data that we had. The question?
I think what they're asking is
No, I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, we
Okay, so basically we're saying 9 out of 10 students showed some improvement.
Right.
Yes.
In there. Okay, but we don't know whether, and then 60%. I guess I don't know what a baseline knowledge is. Does that mean they're ready for kindergarten? What is that baseline?
So we use DIBELS measures like letter ID, print concepts.
Right, those, and I've seen them a million times. I
Right.
still don't understand them. So
Right.
Kindergarten readiness skills.
Basically, yes. And
so-
it was literacy based.
And so if 60% are making it, that means that they are ready?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's the, for those of us who don't speak at this point, but that's helpful, thank you. And on the financial side, it looked like most of this is paid for by federal money, and with the exception of the senior summer school and the credit recovery.
I'm sorry.
Yes, that's correct.
We clearly need more microphones up there. Okay. That's great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do we have anything? I see the newcomers camp, and that's one of my favorites to visit. I'm definitely going back this summer. But do we have anything for ESL students, or am I missing that just might use summer as a time for intensive literacy skills? Do we?
Ashi.
Not at this time. ESL students are welcome to the Read to Achieve camps, and we try to encourage them to attend the other camps that are offered in the district, but we haven't been able to support that financially.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you all.
Did we need to take action on
Oh,
something?
yeah, I guess
I
we
would
do have
like
to
for
take
you
action.
to take action so that we
Let's
could
see here.
re-administer the end of grade and end of course assessments at the end of Take Two.
Let me write down the wording for that.
Okay. Well, okay, let's see if I can do that. The request has been made that we approve action to re-administer
Re-administer end of grade and end of course
end of grade of
assessments.
end of course assessments
For the Take Two.
for the Take Two
That's
program.
why I didn't.
During the Take Two.
At the end of the Take Two.
At the end of the Take Two.
That's why I didn't make the motion. You did a
Right.
great job. So.
All right, so you just say so, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. The motion was presented. It's been seconded, properly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please use the same sign. Passes unanimously. You have your action.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item, human resources, teacher contracts, policy 7410.
Good evening, everyone. I listed this contract as first reading, but it really is 1.5 because at the last board meeting we went over it, and I just added a little bit of language from the previous policy 5405, and I underlined it. It's just basically some logistical information about that assignments don't guarantee an employee to a particular school, but that the contract is between the Durham Public Schools and the employee, and then just maintaining licensure, and just that the employee has to sign in and return the contract. I did pull some numbers from the last time, and I'm really pleased to say that this can positively impact over 1,000 certified teachers. They're eligible for 4-year contracts, so that really does provide some stability and security for our certified staff.
Awesome.
That's great. Over 1,000. Great.
So the only change is the technical changes about basically trying to make Kinsu happy about the various contract
That's right.
provisions. All right. How will this be communicated out to the teachers?
So we will, we actually hand deliver all of our contracts to schools, but we're going to be doing a communication plan so that teachers will have ample knowledge prior to this being disseminated. And this is a really good time. We have plenty of time. When we deliver the contracts, it's usually during the last week of school. And so we have ample time. We have 3 months to, well, 2.5 months to get the word out. I think teachers will be really pleased.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a first reading. I'm not sure we need action.
This
To set it on a second agenda.
this is
It's a 1.5.
Yeah.
I'm not just reading the précis.
You're right, and that's what that's why I brought up in the last one. It was first reading and the only change. So I don't know if there's anything procedurally that can be done, but it would be really beneficial to take action so that we could get started on this.
The approval on the subsequent reading doesn't have to be exactly the same language, so you could approve it under your policy tonight.
So I move approval of policy 7410 as amended.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded that we approve policy 7410 as amended as the second reading. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, please use the same sign. It passes unanimously.
Thank you so much.
Obviously. All right. And the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's budget update.
Good evening. I have the honor and privilege of presenting the superintendent's budget as well as the administration and the staff's budget as it resides right now for the 2018-19 coming year. In your materials, I'll quickly go through some of the information that's provided, but I would also like to highlight the superintendent's message. I believe this is a very well-written message. Couple things that I would like to point out that are in this message. I'm not a big fan of reading, but I'd like to read one of the paragraphs that's in here. As you all know, we are legally bound to submit this budget before the strategic planning process is complete. The 2018-19 budget should therefore be seen as a continuation budget that Durham Public Schools plans to adjust nimbly to the district and the community-wide focus that comes out of the strategic plan. In the succeeding years, program evaluation, departmental objectives, academic and financial benchmarks will all be tied to the budget development process. This is a long-standing goal of DPS administration, our board, and for those, what I believe to be some of the hardest working people in this community, our Budget Process Advisory Committee. So again, we bring you what are some figures around the proposed budget as it exists with the strategic planning process being a large driver of the upcoming budget process. Also stated out in this budget message again, through the hard work of staff, previous administration, as a district, we've gotten ourselves in a very good position with our fund balance. What we say in this message is we also want to have the ability to implement some of the strategic plan work with those fund balance dollars so that we're not waiting another whole budget cycle. So even though a lot of new initiatives are not being presented tonight as part of this overview of the budget, that ability to use some of our fund balance, some of our predicted lapse salaries, some of our vacancy dollars will be used to implement some of those objectives and strategies within the strategic planning process. Going through the 2018-19 superintendent's budget update, again, we all know there's risk with a budget. We ask for the dollars that are associated with our local budget, but we all know the largest driver of our budget is the state budget. We don't have any of the recommendations at this point from the governor or either chamber of the legislation, so those could have a tremendous financial impact. We project what we believe to be possible salary and benefit increases, but as we know from previous history, those can change. Those can be very drastically affected by the state budget and the implementation. In this budget, I'm pleased to announce that we're projecting very modest charter school growth. We're still projecting some modest decline for Durham Public Schools, but not the numbers we have projected in previous years to the magnitude of the charters outgrowing the DPS public school system 3-1. So again, we believe those are positive trends that hopefully will continue. We've talked about the early submission of this budget, just makes it a little more difficult. Bless you. And I do remind, we stressed this point during the budget process last year, but as tremendously well supported as we are in this community by our local support and our commissioners, for every dollar right now that we receive in new money, 16% of that dollar goes to the charter schools. So as again, we request new money allocations as well as calculate in that growth, those calculations are all very important to the potential budget risk. And again, we talked at our last meeting, we're all very supportive of moving to the in-house custodial model, but we will be building those implications into not only this budget, but future budgets. The next chart before you shows pretty much that leveling off of the ADM for Durham County students and the projection of a 300 student increase in the charter schools and a 231 student decrease in the Durham. The charter capacities of the existing charters, their ability within their charters to grow, add grade levels, so on and so forth. Right now, again, since this is such a large part of our budget and consists of $21 million of our local funding, we fund 47 charters, 13 of those being Durham-based, 32 outside of Durham, and 2 virtual charter schools. Within this budget, again, some parameters that are the main driving facts of this budget factors are a 3% raise for certified personnel, 1.5% for classified. The cost of the salaries going up causes the supplement cost to go up, so we've projected an increase in the supplement. We've netted out the growth of the charters and our decline, some modest fixed cost increases. We talked at our joint meeting with our county commissioners, with the city and the resource officer. We don't want our schools to go uncovered, so we've budgeted for off-duty officers with the hope and expectation that we will hopefully be able to work with the city to resolve this issue. But we've also budgeted the custodial increase and put some dollars aside to address possibly some of the deferred teacher needs that were delayed from last year's budget process. So in dollar forms, the salary and benefit part equates to a $2.1 million increase, some modest fixed cost increase of $337,000. The DPS decrease would be approximately an $800,000 decrease to the district, and then the new money initiatives for right now, the off-duty officers for the SROs, custodial services, and the teacher deferred needs would be $2.2 million for a total Durham Public School request of $3,971,000, and the charter school increase for 300 students would represent just over $1 million increase for a total new money request of $4,985,000. Again, we tried to emphasize this point last year, but if we're fortunate to get the 3.9 for Durham Public Schools, almost 650,000 of that goes to the charters because they get 16% in addition to their growth. So it's an ever-moving target. If we increase the other line item, those dollar amounts are always adversely affected by that 16% right now going to the charter school population. What is our budget timeline moving forward? We present tonight the initial budget. We had the opportunity to share with county staff today and meet the obligations of our current memorandum of understanding that we present the superintendent's requested amount to them within the month of March. At April 26th, we'll present the full superintendent's message and proposed budget. Right now, I don't believe you have this on your calendar. We are proposing May for a budget hearing. So looking at the calendar and the work session time frame, again, this would be for your discussion. May 3rd is the date being proposed. May 14th, the county manager will present his budget to the county. May 15th, by statute, we will deliver our budget to the county. May or June will be called to do our formal presentation. June 11th will be the county budget hearing, and June 25th, the county will approve their budget. So, a lot of work still to come. I believe, again, some great work and some great fruits of the labor of what I believe, again, to be that hardworking budget process committee. Some information that'll be coming out in our new documents, our new format, some things that'll go online to provide additional transparency, some dashboard information, budget at a glance. We think we're going to see some great work that sometimes becomes frustrating, but truly has been very, very instrumental to formulating our budget moving forward. So glad to answer any questions, any comments. This is just for information this evening.
Aaron, the thing that's not on your timeline is when the state budget's approved. The General Assembly comes back into session mid-May, is that right? And so that is just a complete unknown. We would just put that as a complete. It could be within that timeline and most likely well into July, August, right?
Correct.
And then I had community members express concern, and I wanted to clarify if at all possible. We had extensive conversation about this money for the school resource officers, but right now we haven't decided how we're going to solve that issue, whether we're going to make any modifications to that program, whether we're going to do anything differently, but that's a placeholder number labeled in our budget proposal at this time. Is that true?
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Bullier, thank you. First of all, this is excellent. Even though it's a crapshoot, we're hoping the dice come up okay. Till the state acts, we don't really know anything. Just a number that, while we're generously funded by the county. The number that we saw recently in the budget committee showed that by total funding, we're actually, Durham Public Schools is more in the mid-20s or so around the state. Is that roughly accurate?
I don't have that exact number in front of me, yes, but when you play out the federal funding, the state funding, yes, we do not rank nearly as high as we do in just the local funding.
So the idea that we're kind of one of the top funded school districts in the state is actually not really accurate.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And do you need us to act tonight on the May 3rd hearing? How do we need to do that?
I think Sandra was going to follow up with the board. That's just a proposed date at this time. They were going to look to check other calendar issues and other proposed issues, but we've normally met the first week of May for our budget hearing in case any adjustments are made to the budget in order to have then the work session and get the information to the county by the statutory date of May 15th.
But you don't need us to set that tonight, okay.
I don't have any specific questions, but I want to say thank you for organizing this in this way. so early. I do like the separation of, the DPS money request from the charter money request. But I think, because I think it's important for our community to see the difference, what we need, and then what the charters need. I think that's very important moving forward, to have it separated that way. Because previously, you know, people would see the 4,985,000 and say, you know, what is that for, right? And behind the scenes, if we're funded that way, it goes to the charter schools, and people still say DPS just got $5 million. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you all separating it out that way. It's very important that I think we continue that moving forward. So I didn't have any specific questions, but thank you all for all your work. I always salute the finance people, because look, I'm a mathematics person, but looking at numbers like this continuously would make my eyes cross. So salute to you all. Absolutely.
Aaron, before you run, can I ask you, this is just totally out of the blue, but kind of on the budget topics. I read this article in Ed.NC, and there was a quote from, the General Assembly had a joint legislative task force on education finance reform. I don't know if you guys have been following that at all, but there was a Durham charter school leader who went and told legislators that her school gets about $2,100 less per student than Durham Public Schools. And I read that and I thought, I know how hard your staff works to account for every dollar of local money that is due. I know the state money goes straight to their schools. So I just wanted to clarify, in what realm, do you have any idea why anyone would say that to the General Assembly? I mean,
Again, you've been very educated and informed over time about the miscommunication that goes from the local level to sometimes the legislative level. Other pots of local monies have been mentioned, everything from indirect costs to fees collected on rental facilities to our own appropriation of fund balance. So in my interpretation, again, it's all in the communication of sometimes partial truths to the information, but we work very diligently. We're very transparent to our charters. We meet all the statutory requirements, but we provide them the full funding of the per pupil share of the county appropriation plus fines and forfeitures, which are the two revenue sources that are to be in that calculation.
I really appreciate you speaking that truth, and we'll continue to do that in any way we can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is closed session.
Move that we go into closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we go into closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say aye.
Aye.
It passes. Was it 4 to 1? 4 to 1. We're in closed session. Yeah. All right. We are now back in open session. Dr. Mabenga.
Board members, I'm here to seek approval of personnel report as discussed at the closed session.
Move approval of the March 22nd personnel reports.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we approve the March 22nd, 2018 reports. Personnel reports. Man.
For
approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please use the same sign. Passes unanimously. We are now adjourned.